Thank you so much for checking out this video. This is going to be all about my tips and tricks on how to deal with POTS, which is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome. If you haven't checked out my other video, it's right here. So give it a look before you watch this so you have an idea of what the heck that even is, if you don't know. So let's get started and talk about ways to just deal with POTS. So first we're going to talk about food and drink and all of the things like that. So one thing that I definitely have learned to limit myself on is caffeine. I can really only have 1 cup of coffee, which I wish I could have way more than that. But the caffeine just makes my heart even more unsteady and shaky than it already is. And so I just have learned to kind of pull back on that, and it actually has made life a lot better in the mornings and throughout the day. And so that's one thing that I've learned I just need to pull back a little bit on, but you can replace it with tea and matcha and other things and get rid of that shakiness that you may experience. Another thing with drink is just to consume as little alcohol as possible. I've noticed for me specifically, which I am just a social drinker, I really don't even like the taste of alcohol, so I don't drink very much. But for me, if I drink like any other person, really, you get that hot face. But I've noticed for me, it lasts a lot longer because of my POTS, and it just makes me feel really crappy the next day. So I have just, like, 1 drink is usually fine, but anything more than that, I just try and stay away from. So something that's really sad is that I really do try and stay away from a lot of carbs. Too many carbs can really trigger POTS symptoms. I tried a year ago to go vegan, and there is a healthy way to go vegan and an unhealthy way to go vegan, and I definitely chose the unhealthy way. So I was consuming a lot of pasta, Oreos, all of the things, and I felt really, really crappy, which you can imagine. But with POTS, the carbs just, it's been studied upon that too many carbohydrates can trigger even more symptoms in your POTS. So just to be aware of how many carbs you're taking in each day and replacing those carb-heavy meals with maybe some more plant-based meals is a great option. And so speaking of plant-based, that's something that I've really tried to transition into. I not only noticed that, like, my skin and everything else is better, but if I'm doing it well, then my POTS symptoms definitely seem to be a lot better. I have more energy, I have less fatigue, all of those things. So I would definitely recommend, if you haven't yet, trying a plant-based diet. It may not work for you. Sometimes it really doesn't help me because my stomach is super sensitive, and so sometimes I just do not want to eat a green heavy meal because it just is I don't know, it just doesn't sit well sometimes. So just being aware of what you feel like your body may need. If you want to try it, go ahead. If not, then that's okay too. Something that I've always done, and now I know that it's a really good thing for POTS, is to drink a ton of water. So when I say a ton, I don't actually mean a ton because that would be awful. I have a 40-ounce Hydro Flask, and I drink about 3 of them a day. I just tend to drink water when I'm bored, and so if I'm at work, if I'm at home, I'm just sipping on water because it's just there and I like water. But it definitely is known to reduce POTS symptoms because drinking more water can keep your heart rate lower, because the more water you drink, the easier it is for your blood to reach your head. So 1 to 2 liters is supposed to be the best, and so drink that water. Hydrate, people. Also, adding salt to your diet if you don't already eat a lot of salt. I am a salt lover. I friggin' love salt so much. So this was an easy fix for me. To add salt to your diet helps you retain the water that you're consuming. It also increases our blood volume. Now we're going to move on to the not food categories. So other tips and tricks that I have. The first is compression socks. These are only a few of the compression socks that I have. So compression socks in POTS patients are known to help alleviate some symptoms. And so my 2 favorite brands are Vim and Vigor, which are these ones, and then Figs are these type. Figs are very fun. They have a bunch of different crazy designs. Like these ones are llamas, alpacas. I don't know. I think alpacas. party alpacas. I was wearing these socks one day and was meeting a new group of people for coffee, and the next time I saw this guy from the group that I had met, he said, "Oh, you're the one with the crazy socks." I'm like, that's me. But it helps a ton, so it's worth being the crazy sock lady. So figs have a compression of 20 to 30 mmHg, which I had to look up what that meant. It's millimeters of mercury, and it's a measurement of pressure. Those are generally the type that I use every day if I am having a harder week with my POTS symptoms. But Vim and Vigor has 20 to 30 mmHg, if that's how you say it, I don't actually know. And then a 15 to 20 range, which is more for everyday use. The next thing that I bought for my POTS symptoms are these ice packs. And so you stick them in the freezer. They're really for your knees or your ankles or whatever, probably more so for people that have just undergone surgery and need help with the swelling. But I love to wrap these around my calves after I go for a walk or a run or whatever it may be, and it helps just to shrink the blood vessels. And so I love those. Also similar to the ice pack, something I love to do after I take a shower is to just pull my shower head off, which if you don't have that, you can always just use a sink or whatever it may be. I like to make the water pretty cold, and what I'll do is just rinse it over my legs, my calves, mostly for probably a minute. And that just helps because when you're in the shower, your blood vessels are just getting bigger, and so to shrink them back down with the cold water helps so much for me to feel a lot better after a hot shower. One last thing that I bought, this leg ramp, which is humongous, but basically I bought this off of Amazon. I throw it on my couch, and so when I'm just sitting there watching TV, I prop my legs up on it, and it just helps for me to not feel like the blood is pooling in my legs. It just helps the blood flow better throughout my body, and so that has been just an easy little trick to, as I'm sitting and watching TV, I'm making my body feel better, which is awesome. So now I'll just talk about how your mental state can have a stress on your POTS symptoms and your overall well-being. So I find that if I'm super anxious, my POTS symptoms are for sure worse. So if you don't already, I would highly encourage seeing a therapist if you have anxiety. I have a really good friend who's a mentor of mine, and she's a therapist, so I meet with her pretty regularly, and she's just given me some good tips on how to deal with anxiety. So the deep breathing exercises, focusing on little things around the room that you can just put all your attention on so that you can just calm your mind, prayer, meditation, whatever it may be to just ease your mind. I would highly recommend seeking those things out because they for sure help with your overall well-being and your symptoms of POTS. I also love to, if I'm having a really bad week, to just think about in my mind some really, really good memories and to just bring my mind back there, because when you do that, you are releasing just really good hormones for your body that could make you feel better. And so thinking about some just favorite memories, favorite moments, and reliving those in my mind. And then also just speaking kind words over myself, like you are healthy, you are whole, anything that may come to mind. Those things really do help over the long run and your mental state and just your overall well-being. So those are just some things that I've learned to cope with my POTS, from food to mental state, whatever it may be. Figure out what works for you. So if you found anything to be helpful in this video, please just comment below. I would love to hear about your journey with POTS, or if you just are curious about it, let me know that as well. All of these items that I've purchased, I'll put links below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please make sure you like and comment, and please subscribe for more fun content about Broadway, New York City, and health. Thank you. See you soon.
No.